Today we're going to begin the Torn Picture project. This project involves taking an image and giving it this torn effect, and also involves creating this pencil sketch effect which goes behind it. You can use a self-portrait as I did in this example, or you can find a picture off of the internet. It's your choice. To start with, we want to start a new document. And we're going to make this document 11 inches wide by 8.5 inches high with a resolution of 300, and we want this to be in RGB color mode. We're going to name our document our last name, first name, and then we'll call it Torn Pic or Torn Picture, whatever you want to call it for the project. Next, we need to decide on what image we want to use. So you can either go onto Photo Booth and take a self-portrait if you want to use a picture of yourself, or you can look for an image online. Before we do that today, I want to talk a little bit about copyright, because for this class we do use a lot of online images. So let's look at copyright law and look at the reasons why it's okay for us as educators and students to use some of these copyrighted images. The copyright law of 1976 protects original works of authorship. So that could be literary works, writing of poems, books, dramatic works, so something that's been acted out, musical works, songs, and artistic works, which could be anything in the art realm. So that covers a lot of stuff. Sometime in the 1990s, the Fair Use Act was written, and that allows certain uses for certain people of copyrighted work, and it makes it lawful for these uses. One of the uses is the one I have highlighted here, for non-profit educational purposes. That means if you are using an image or a song or anything else to educate others, or using it as a student in an educational setting, you are allowed to use copyrighted materials, because we're not making a profit. We're just using it as a source for learning. So we are covered under that Fair Use Act. Another thing that the Fair Use Act states is that you're allowed to use a portion of a copyrighted piece. And in our class, in the computer graphic arts class, we usually don't just take an image and leave it as it is. We alter it quite a bit, meaning that the end result is really just showing a portion of that original work. And so we are actually covered under a couple of these areas under the Fair Use Act. Now there's another thing called royalty-free. So you may hear about royalty-free images or royalty-free music. And royalty-free doesn't necessarily mean free. It means that you can pay a fee, and after you've paid a fee, then you are allowed to use copyrighted material, but in very specific ways. It's a pretty complicated thing. One thing I want to show you is where I get the music that I use in my video tutorials. Okay, this website is freeplaymusic.com, and there is a lot of royalty-free music on this website. Now, if I click up here and go to pricing, you'll see they have different degrees of pricing. They have film, education, business, and then just like blanket use, you could use it for anything, or for advertising. And in advertising, you're making money. So there are different degrees of use here. If I go to business, you'll see that, let's go down to the cheapest one, $25. So for $25, music on hold, single track. Okay, and then you would read the license detail for that. If I go to $250, multimedia unlimited, non-broadcast worldwide. And again, you would read the license detail. But each of these business uses does come with a price. If I click on education, in classroom use, which is what we use it for, we get this for 99 years and it's free. has no cost to it. And we could click on the license detail, and it will lay out more specifically what we can use this for. Basically, if you're a teacher, you can use it for teaching, and if you're a student, you can use it for learning. Now, another thing you may want to do is you may want to search royalty-free images, because sometimes they will allow the use of images for free depending on the site. So I previewed a couple of these sites. One of them is Expl, and Expl does allow free use of images. And if I go to the license on this, it will talk about why these are available for free, because they are free for not only personal but even commercial use. And they're licensing this under the Creative Commons 0 license. And a lot of these images are contributed from people like you. So anybody who wants to contribute photos, they can do that. And if you want to browse photos, you can hit the discover, and you can grab a photo, and you can donate to the person who put this on here, or you can click free download and you can grab this nice, beautiful, high quality image. And there are other sites besides Expl that allow this. So that may be something you may want to look into. So Pixabay was another one. This one, burst.shopify.com, also had some free images. Other sites like Shutterstock charge a fee for image use, and so you have to be really careful with that. However, being that we are students and teachers, we are covered pretty much under that Fair Use Act. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get into my folder where I do have an image saved. I started a new folder called Torn Picture, and this is the image that I found, and I'm going to right click and open with Photoshop. Okay, cute little boy here. And I want to move this into my new document that I just created. So I can either do Command A to select all, Command C to copy, move over to my new document, and Command V. But another way to move a document or to move an image from one document to another is to go to the Move tool, which is the very top tool. Grab the image you are moving, go to the tab of the document you want it on, go down and let go of your mouse. Okay, and that will just drop it nicely into this new document I created. I'm going to rename layer 1 to picture. All right, now I need to place my picture in the proper place. So going back to my finished one that I have here, notice that my image is not covering the whole document. It's actually in the upper left-hand corner, but there's some space there. It's not all the way up to the corner. So we're going to leave a little bit of space and pull it up to the upper left-hand corner, but we're leaving even more space down here in the lower right. And that is so we have room for this torn picture. So Command T is our free transform. First, I will move it into the corner where I want it, remembering to leave some space. And then I'm going to size it. I'm going to pull from this bottom right corner holding Shift. Holding Shift is important so that we don't get any distortion. Okay, and leaving some space down here for when I tear off this bottom half and move it down. Now, some of you have noticed in class that when you're in the middle of a transformation, your image becomes very pixelated. But when you accept it, it should clear up. If you find that after you've accepted it, it's still pixelated and blurry, then it's probably not a good image choice for this project. So please throw that one out and find a better choice. Now, we are also going to create that pencil sketch today. To do that, we're going to first duplicate our picture layer, and we can either right click and go to duplicate layer, and we'll just keep this name picture copy for now. Or the other thing you could have done is you could drag your picture down to the new layer, and that will also duplicate it. we're going to change the blending mode of our picture copy to color dodge. Then we're going to invert this layer by hitting Command I on the keyboard. When you do that, your picture may completely disappear. Mine almost disappeared, but I do see a few remnants of it here. And that's okay. That's what we expect to happen. So don't get worried when and if that happens. The next thing we're going to do is go up to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. If your Gaussian blur window is obstructing your image, move it out of the way. Make sure that preview is checked, and then you're going to slide this toggle back and forth until it looks like a pencil sketch. Now, if you go too far to the right, it's just going to look like a photograph again. You don't want that. So we want this to look basically like a colored pencil sketch. So we're going to move it far enough in one direction or the other until it looks like a sketch. But you don't want to go too far this way either so that you lose too much detail. So just play with that for a while until it looks the way you want it. That looks pretty good to me right there. So I'm on 5.0 pixels, and yours will be different because you are working with a different image. So it really depends on the image size, the resolution, the quality, and also the colors that are in your image. So all of those things factor into what your radius of pixels will be for this step. Then say OK. That's going to be it for today. The last thing we want to do is File, Save As. And really important, we need to navigate to our folder. And I'm going to go over this one more time because there are a couple students still struggling with this. So when you File, Save As, if you have a very limited view, you need to go up to this little arrow, click it, and go to the left-hand side. Click on Desktop because that is where your folder lives. Open your folder and open any subfolders you might have, and then save. The first time you save a project, that's really important. Okay, then you can close out of this and check your folder, and you should have your new document in there.